thinking about Father's Day and thinking about lessons of a father is Nancy DeMoss. She has this 3-part series, and one of them was like lessons of a father. And so she talked about these 12 important lessons she's learned. One would be to take God seriously. 2, start your day with God. 3, trust and obey. Rest and surrender to the sovereignty of God. 4, little things matter a lot. So the choices you make today will you have the consequences tomorrow. 5, you aren't responsible for what others say or do. You're only responsible for how you respond to them. 6 is ask for advice. Listen to godly counsel. 7, guard your heart. So be intentional and wise about what you feed into your mind. 8 is marriage is for keeps. Don't settle for less than God's best. 9, don't spend your life, invest it. One day we will give account of how we manage the resources God entrusted to us. Time, talent, treasure, opportunities. 10, you can't outgive God. 11, look for opportunities to share Christ with others if that is your higher power. And then 12 is time is short, eternity is long. Don't waste your life. Make it count for eternity.
Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss, a podcast dedicated to women from all walks of life. Whether you're navigating through loss, seeking growth, or simply looking for a place to feel understood, you've come to the right space. Each week, we provide compassionate guidance, share diverse stories, and offer practical advice to help you heal, grow, and thrive. No matter where you are on your journey, we're here to walk with you. Let's grow together.
All right. Welcome back. I am LaWayna Berry, and you got my fabulous host, Teresa Reiniger, with us today.
Love us. Yay. Love it. Love when we do this.
I do too. It's my favorite part. I can't lie. It's my favorite. But we are talking about Father's Day, and we know that this is a podcast about women. And so we take a half a second
in the month of June,
support, the other people in our life. And so today, me and Teresa are going to talk about Father's Day, what that kind of means to us. And I imagine we're going to have very, very different ideas about what that looks like, So, So what comes to mind when you hear the word Father's Day, Teresa?
I think the first thing that pops up in my head, of course, is my dad. And he's passed many, many years ago. I think it's been 12 or 13 years now. So It's been quite a long time ago. And I'll just say prior to that, he suffered with Alzheimer's 13 years prior to that. So it's really been a long time since I have had the relationship with my dad that I did when I was growing up.
Wow.
But thinking of my dad, I would just say that is totally where both my parents, my work ethic has come from. I'll say my entrepreneurial spirit came from. My dad had his own business. He ran a construction company for many, many years. So when I think of my dad, that's what I think of. And a fun, loving person. He was always cracking jokes. Every morning, really, I probably think of my dad because he would whistle like different types of birds. And I love birds. I love to hear the birds. So I think of my dad all the time.
Such a sweet memory.
Yeah. So when I think of Father's Day, I think of my dad. And there's just great memories. And I love that those memories are what come, especially like I said, with the birds, because I am very in tune, and it's probably because of him, very in tune to when I'm outside, my sense of hearing goes to birds. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting that that's where it goes. And then I always see all kinds of different birds. right now it's kind of crazy. I have a bird that sits right outside our kitchen window, and I don't know what kind of bird it is. I need to get a picture of it and figure it out, but it is loud.
Yeah.
Loud. So
Yeah.
what about you when you think of Father's Day? What do you think about?
Well, mine is I'm sure a lot different. When I think of fathers, a lot of time, I grew up with all women, and so very, very independent, very strong women. And so I only saw men like sporadically,
Okay.
but my mom, she dated, she was cute. So she had a lot of people, interested. And
Your
so,
mom is beautiful and yes, cute.
um, so, um, she had a lot of male friends, and I got to tell you, those male friends looked after me and my sister beautifully. So when a lot of people are like, "Oh, your father wasn't in your life. I know you probably hate that. You miss that." And I was like, I didn't really notice it as much because, the village showed up. But my father and my mother are both very outgoing people. They're kind of the center of the party. They're very much alike. So it's very odd that they got together for me. They are just very warm people. They want to joke, they want to laugh, they want to have fun, and the spotlight on them. So that is how both of them are my biological parents. But I also have a godfather, and his name is Courtney, and Courtney is late by everything. I could call Courtney at 2 a.m, and he is going to answer.
That's wonderful.
So he's always been there for me, and so funny. I think he was like going to beat up my father about me. It's so funny, He's like you better take care of her,
Good.
Very protective and very loving, but also very, very transparent about life and what it looks like. And he told my husband, my first husband, I'll say that. When we got married, he told him, he was like, "Hey, I don't know what you're thinking, but this ain't it. She's not like a housewife. She's not like gonna do whatever you say." He said, "I don't know what you're thinking, but I just want you to know that that's not who she is."
Don't squash her spirit.
No, Courtney, Courtney has a black belt, and he's like a, mini thug. So it's, you don't call him less serious. That's it,
Yeah. But that's awesome that they chose him to be your godfather. That's perfect. It's amazing.
Yeah, I have a godfather and godmother, and I know their entire family like they're my own family, because that's how much time I spent with them.
That's awesome.
My mother was free. But no, they're very, very.
Don't squash her spirit either.
She ain't gonna let nobody squash her spirit. Let me say that. You met her.
I have, and it doesn't fall far. What do they say? You are very similar. Like, don't squash her spirit either.
Similar.
There are some similarities.
There's some independent similarities. Some of those are because I had to do the same to her. You know what I'm saying? But we're on fathers.
Yeah.
How did your father shape your view of love or protection?
Interesting. Well, my mother and father were the only ones really for each other. I do remember my mom sharing stories about my dad. I don't know if he was dating somewhere else when they got together, but they were very young. And I would say how that fit me is just work through things. I know my parents worked I'm sure they did really hard on their relationship because there were 13 of us. So just saying that, I know how I needed to work on my husband and my relationship with 3 children, because as mothers, our focus is our children. So I could only imagine how hard they worked on the relationship with so many of us around. And so I think that's what I think about a lot with my dad is providing for all of us, still making sure he had time for my mom, you know, that love for each other. And I think as they got older, I think when I was young, I didn't see necessarily that interaction between the two of them of loving kisses or touch or whatever, because they were busy.
I was like, yeah,
But as they got older, you would see that, you know, out on the dance floor at a wedding or all of those things. So I think that really helped me see that no matter what happens, you can continue to fight and work towards a good relationship. So I think that's what I see most, and that's what's been instilled in me, is to just fight to work through that. You fell in love, and that can continue. And I know that's probably much different than yours. But I think that's what I really kind of remember with my dad, is just that dedication and determination. I don't know if that answered your question, but I kind of got off a little bit probably on that. But
no, I just love hearing about strong men that, you know, show up for their family. Unfortunately, you know, and I do feel my mother tried to find that, you know, for us. But broken people attract broken people, and it keeps, you know, that keeps going. So view of love, I guess it's like, I'm trying to think. It's like I saw my father, so it's not like I never saw him or anything like that. I saw him, but it was like sporadically. I mostly saw his parents. I went to the same church they did, so I just saw them on Sundays at church. So it wasn't like, oh, we went to dinner or whatever. But when I think of, you know, father figures, the men that my mom dated, they always were very nice to me and my sister, very supportive. They would look out for us. You know, one of those guys, I could call him today. I got a flat tire. Haven't seen him in 20 years. You know, he's like, okay, babe, where you at? Let me help you out, whatever. You know, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't every day. So what I saw were women who got up, got it done, figured it out, because you know, no one else is coming. You know?
Strong women. Sounds like very strong women.
I would have loved to see, because us, and I have mostly female cousins, so females watching females is one thing, but we don't see what you saw. We don't see the breakup, the fight, the work it out, how we came together. We're still working on it, you know, 5 years later, you know, what you did in 85 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So we don't, you don't learn that muscle of resilience and grit in a marriage or in a relationship by seeing things modeled healthy, you know? So what I would have loved, you know, is to see just a consistent, you know, thing, and not, you know, the first argument cut and run, you know? So, so I would have loved to see more of that. And I would have loved for men to, I think a lot of men that I know don't really know their value, or what, you know, they have value in the house. Like it's important for kids to see both dynamics of a subject, you know? So I struggle, as I'm sure a lot of my relatives, with having a strong relationship, you know, with, you know, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual, just with another person, and figuring out how to work through, you know, dynamics and challenges, and come out together, you know, on the other side.
And whether it's a relationship, what my thought goes on that is whether it's a relationship of husband, wife, or two women in a relationship, or two men in a relationship, a loving relationship, I will say, even if it's a friendship, even if it's a work relationship, there needs to be, it's work to keep those relationships, and we are not going to always agree with another person. And I think what I'm hearing you say is modeling that, working that out when there's a disagreement or those types of things, is really watching and seeing those relationships grow, because they're open enough to work on it and just disagree and agree to disagree, and how are we going to do it better? That kind of relationship is kind of what I'm hearing you say. Would that be correct? And what you're saying is be able to see that more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, super important. Super important to be able to see that.
I meet so many people that are like, oh, I don't want to fight in front of the kids. Oh, I don't want to do. I'm like, you think the kids don't tell every day? You think they can't? You think they can't tell?
Yeah, that there's tension. I mean, if they don't hear it, they feel it. People are sensitive to other
energy,
people.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah, they sense that. And my mom and dad, there definitely were times when there was tension and you knew that and they were fighting or whatever, but we saw it. I mean, we saw it.
Right, yeah.
And so, and I think with my husband and I relationship, sounds crazy, but maybe crazy, but it was just what worked for us is we might go to bed angry at each other, but we were still together, if that makes sense. Yeah, like no one ever really slept on the couch or in the doghouse or whatever. We were still together in the same room. We may not have been totally in agreement, right, I'll say, before we went to bed, but it didn't last very long. We spoke about it, we talked about it, we figured it out.
And that's super healthy.
Kept it open, very open.
Healthy. And, being together so long, you change. Yeah. Change 15 times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think my parents were the same. I don't remember ever seeing my dad, not there, or my dad on the couch, or my dad, well, there wasn't room for him anywhere else because the house was so full. There was only one place for you to be, maybe. But we never saw that.
Yeah. I can't say. I'm trying to think. I don't sleep anywhere else. He get mad at me, he gonna have to sleep somewhere. I'm not.
You're out.
Because it's very hard for me to fall asleep and stay asleep. So I was like, no, I'm not sleeping. We have other places. I'm not. I'm gonna stay here. And you're mad enough, you'll figure it out or whatever. I don't. Okay.
That's funny. We kind of got a little sidetracked there. But I think that's important. As a father, that's what I saw, as they worked it out.
I love that. Okay, next. Is Father's Day a day of celebration, grief, or something in between?
I think it's a combination, for sure. Especially like for myself, my father's not here, and my husband's father is not here, who I also called Dad after we married. So it's a remembrance of them. So we think about them for sure on Father's Day. But it is a celebration too. I have 3 beautiful children. So my husband is a father, and because of those 3 children. So it's a celebration. As they've gotten older, we don't necessarily see them on those days, but they're still celebrating their dad, And it's cool to watch my girls now, how they celebrate Mother's Day. Their husbands celebrate Mother's Day and Father's Day with them. So that's cool to watch, and because those examples have been put out there.
Yeah, I love that. And they celebrating each other. And then you guys aren't like, oh, so-and-so didn't come over here on Father's Day. You're like, oh, I saw her last week. We're good.
I'll be quite honest with you. I said to somebody yesterday, I said, I'm not planning anything for Father's Day. I always plan. I'm the planner. I reach out. Everybody come over. We're going to cook. We're going to whatever. And I'm like,
nope.
I'm not doing that. And my husband's like, if they come over, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. He's cool with it. I'm just like,
so laid back. He's like, all right,
yeah. And I'm like, you know what? This year, no, I'm not pressuring myself to always be the planner.
I love that you're giving yourself grace,
because he's so
aware. You're like, we're good.
Yeah. He's okay with it, and I need to be okay with it. And so this year, if they come over, if they call, and they will. They may not come over because there might be work or whatever's going on.
Life.
And I'm sure that there will be a text or a phone call to him. So I need, like I said, I am giving myself grace. Like, stop trying to plan. You don't have to plan it all. Just, he doesn't have the expectation, and so I should not as well.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What about you?
Is
Yeah.
it's a mixture. I don't really, and it's not like intentional or bitter or anything like that. I don't usually spend time with my father. I try to do the right thing, meaning by the Lord above, and be civil, and respectful because of his position. You know what I'm saying? But I don't overdo it. If I see him, great. Mostly I like my stepmother, so I like to spend time with her. So I'll invite him. So I
however that works.
Because she's very much a Christian woman, wife, and there's good and bad to that. But so I'm usually not with him, and I bought him something and he didn't come over, so I was like, I'm not doing that either. So I bought things for my husband, for my stepdad, and for my brother-in-law, because they don't really get celebrated that much. But and so it's a mixture of grief because of my son, and I'm sure I have not spoken about this on the show, but my baby boy had passed away in August. It'll be 2 years, and it's due to my husband's negligence. And so he's not a psychopath. I'm gonna say that up front for everybody. He's not a psychopath. He's very much a hardworking guy who's just distracted. And unfortunately that happened. So it's a little bit mixture of grief with that because, I'm missing my son. I'm having a struggle around my own grief and how he passed away. So it's a little bit of struggle to kind of celebrate my husband. And again, I'm going to lean back into that Christian aspect of I'm not God and I'm not in his place, to, what's the word? I can't think of the word. This is what grief does. But I don't come down on him or, beat him over the head or nothing like that. Yeah. So I will celebrate him. He does have two other children, so they'll be over to celebrate him. And then I get kind of let off the hook in the celebration. They'll hang out and they'll have a great day. And I'll have a day of quietness because the house is gone. Everybody's gone. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I bought the stuff. He has the stuff. He has the balloon and the flowers and the gift. And hey, you guys enjoy. Go fishing. That'll be great. And I'll sit here and watch whatever I want to watch without any comments,
Yeah. And I think you get to a point, at least I believe so, that, when your kids are younger, like you do all of those things for their father. And it gets to a point where it's like, okay, now they need to take the reins. It's not your father. Like even with my husband, he's not my father. He's their father. So where they're at in life, it's like, I no longer have to do those things. Yeah. His kids are younger, but you'll get to that point where it's like, it's all on them.
But his kids are really good. They love their dad. Good. He's the fun activity dad. So my husband, once they 6 or 7, he's everything because he's like, let's do it. And he does, he does spend a lot of time with them, but he only likes older kids. And my issue is like, you can't pick. What are we?
They have to grow.
You're gonna tag in 7 years later? What is it? But so life happens. So it's a little bit of mixture just as it relates to my my current husband and my biological father. But it's a celebration when I think of the other men in my life who showed up to a child that wasn't theirs. And who still still poured into that child. 10, 20 years later, and she's still not theirs,
Yeah. I
So
love that.
those men that just love on kids, and just show up for them, whether they're theirs or not. And I'm talking about more ways than just, financial, their
Sure.
presence, their protection, like you were talking about. My stepdad
Yeah.
is very much one of those guys. Poppy is like, who did it? Where they at? Let me get at him. He got
That's
these
awesome.
big hands, like he called them paws because his hands are huge. And he's huge, so he got a big booming voice. So you call him in tears, he's like, "What?"
Let me at him.
Right. And that's what we all want at the end of the day. We
Yeah.
want to be able to cry on our father's shoulder or that father figure and have them show up and say, "Okay, I know that happened, but let's get up, let's
Yeah.
move. I got you. I'm here. You can lean on me till you're strong enough to stand."
Yeah. I love that. And I know when we talked about Mother's Day, we talked about all women are mothers in some way. They've mothered someone. And it's the same, I think, for men. They have all been a father to someone, even if they do not have children of their own. And even if they do have children of their own, many, many times they're kind of that father figure for other kids as well. And I want to give them, all men, those kudos for always stepping up and supporting children, because that's what they all need. That's what we need as a society, is men and women always stepping up to support others.
Yes, as a human, please. I'm just human.
Yeah.
Support me.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I can remember Gabe, I don't know if he was 8, 9, I don't remember how.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a party at Build-A-Bear, and his father did not like that idea because, it's a doll. And I was like, it's Build-A-Bear. Grown-ups like Build-A-Bear. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
So he had his own issue with that. But all the boys, and I only have boys, so I had a whole bunch of boys, and they were so excited to design their bear and and all of that. And so they're there with a bunch of women. I'm gonna say this: I got all boys, all the moms are there,
Yeah.
And Gabe's father is there, but he's chit-chatting with all the moms.
Yeah.
Not the boys. So Poppy shows up. All the boys take off running to him. They're like, "Poppy, look at this. Look what I did." He's like, "Tell me, guys, what you got, man? What you got? Oh, that's cool." And just completely changed like the tone of the whole party. Like they were fine with each other, but just to have that strong man show up and be super excited about what they were excited about. No lens, like, why you got this doll? None of that. He's just like, that is so cool. Show me all of it. And he's very much one of those people, Poppy is. He's like, daughter, when the kids come and they want to spend time with you, you got to stop. He said, because they're going to get grown and, they're not going to have time. So right now, while they're asking, to spend time, I'm going to be there. And he's there. He'll turn off that phone, turn off that TV. We need to talk. Well, I'm here, and very, very present and intentional. So my mom's mad because she's probably called him on the phone 5 times and he's like, no, quit. I'm with my grandbabies right now. I will talk to you later.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. People need to learn from that. We all need to learn from that, to be present. I'm guilty. I think I've said that before. I'm guilty of not always being present, especially if I'm in a position. It was probably on the last episode that we did together, that I'm just not always present with everything else going on. If I'm in a position that there's food and hospitality type things, and just that awareness to always be present to other people, because that moment is gone very quickly, and you can't get it back. And so I love that he really does that as a male. That's I think says a lot about who he is. Like you described him as a very strong male figure, and I love that very much so. That's awesome. You're so blessed to have him in your life.
No, he's
Your
a
mom,
good guy from day one, and very,
yeah,
very open to hear, because we had a lot of hiccups, as you can imagine. My mom's been married
sure,
5 times, so
yeah,
there's a lot there. But and he's very much one of those people that it is not in my efforts, it's not in me. This is what the Lord has put
yeah,
in me to do. He's very much any accolades you give him, he's like, no, the Lord is changing who I am. I'm trying to
that's awesome.
please him with my life,
Yeah,
which I love.
okay,
So we got a last question. What lessons
awesome.
did your father or father figure leave behind that still guides you?
Oh, I think I kind of spoke a little bit to that at the very, very beginning. So I'm going to say just, again, really good work ethic, probably sometimes too strong of work ethic because
I think
I
that's that generation.
do work. Say that again.
I said, yeah, I think that's our generation. It kind of probably
Yeah.
stopped maybe right before mine, you know. Where,
Yeah.
yeah.
So definitely the work ethic to strive, to do many things. I would say also volunteering, things, giving back,
Mm.
Christian things like they served so much with St. Vincent in Nepal and with their church of giving, volunteering wherever needed, handing money to people to get a hotel room for the night or whatever that was. So those are good things that really have been instilled in me is to, to live a life, a Christian filled life, and that work ethic, just continuing to strive and do things for others. And like Poppy, like it's the Lord, do his work, whatever that work looks like at the time. So I think those are some main things that have been instilled in me for sure. Yeah. What about you?
I love that, though. I think, mine would definitely be, a combination of the men in my life. First thinking of my step grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa Willie. Um, he died at like 96 or something. So
Mm-hmm.
I was the one that kind of stepped in after my grandmother passed, to kind of continue supporting him and helping him along with, his own children. But what
Mm-hmm.
I took away from him, like my father wasn't there, and he was used to seeing my father and them every single day because my father's the baby. My father and mother are both the babies, and so I would get mad, Grandpa's 90, 95. Why are you not over there? And he would say, Wayna, don't worry about it. Wayna, don't worry about it. He said, don't treat them differently because of this. Don't. He said, I'm fine. The Lord got
Mm.
my back. He's like, I don't want you to be fighting with your father over me. I don't want you, to be fussing. So from Grandpa Willie and Poppy are both very much centered on spiritual aspects of the Lord is going to guide our steps. Men do evil, God doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Forgive, kind of thing, move on. I'm trying to think. And definitely for the other men in my life that are more kind of mentors, they always encourage me to do more. Dennis in Florida, he's the reason I went to grad school because I didn't, I'm like most kids. I didn't want to go to school. There's a bachelor. Yeah, I was pregnant doing this. I was raising my kid doing this. I'm over this. I'm working, And Dennis is like, no, you need to keep going. It's not that hard. Don't worry about it. And I was just like, ugh. But he was
Mm.
absolutely right. He's absolutely right. It was not hard. He's like, that bachelor's is hard. This master's going to be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And he really encouraged me to keep going, to really lean into my own strengths. Like, when you get out of school, you don't know your front from your back. I'm like, they're giving me this job, but they haven't taught me how to do it. He said, they're not going to teach you how to do it. Like,
Wow.
you're educated, they expect you to figure it out. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. He's like, so I'll help you. Let's figure it out. So, so he's very good. My mom's ex-husband, Rick, has always tried to pour life into me. Rick was the first one to ask me what I was doing after high school. No one had ever asked me that. And I think I was in middle school. He's like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you, it's like, I get the job, I guess. He's like, what? A job where? Doing what? So they're very, very intentional about shaping me. They're very transparent guys, so if I'm messing up in my marriage, they're gonna be like, Wayna, come off a little strong, pipe down a little bit, but also when I need to pivot, this is not a healthy situation, this is not a healthy yada yada yada, you need to be, what do you want for yourself, kind of a thing. And lastly, because I'm just going on this soapbox, they
praise them all.
they always try to get me to invest. They like, you need to invest. You need to put these are what I'm putting stocks in. They both own property. They like, you need to own some properties. You got to have some other streams of income. And I don't think that we teach our men, but just, or especially women, to diversify and to have other options, available just in case, I think women are taught to, marry well. And that doesn't, always, that doesn't mean anything. You can marry well. He gets tired. You're tired. Now what? Now, he leaves. Now what? So, but what I want to leave at the end of this is I did, what got me to thinking about Father's Day and thinking about lessons of a father is Nancy DeMoss. She has kind of this 3-part series, and one of them was like lessons of a father. And so she talked about these 12 important lessons she's learned. One would be to take God seriously. 2, start your day with God. 3, trust and obey. Rest and surrender to the sovereignty of God. 4, little things matter a lot. So the choices you make today will you have the consequences tomorrow. Let's see, next 5, you aren't responsible for what others say or do. You're only responsible for how you respond to them. 6 is ask for advice. Listen to godly counsel. 7, guard your heart. And this one, as a woman, we are just feels all day, So be intentional and wise about what you feed into your mind. 8 is marriage is for keeps. Don't settle for less than God's best. And I wish I'd have understood fully what all of that looked like, because as a young adult, you don't quite know. And you don't know what you don't know either. So if you didn't get those lessons early, now you got the consequences,
Yeah.
8, let's see, we're on 9. Don't spend your life, invest it. One day we will give account of how we manage the resources God entrusted to us. Time, talent, treasure, opportunities. 10, you can't outgive God. 11, look for opportunities to share Christ with others if that is your higher power. I like to think of Christ, higher powers, and just doing good. As all in this kind of thing. Let's just treat each other right, And then 12 is time is short, eternity is long. Don't waste your life. Make it count for eternity. So there was of course, very rich things in that, in those lessons. But her father was a guy, they didn't have TV. They didn't, do anything, everything was family, everything was intentional, every part of their life. So you read books, to inspire you. You got smart. You challenged your mind in every single way. You watch TV, no, they don't do that. You read, and family time is very important. Yeah. And you weren't ever off, meaning like maybe have a pastor might take vacations and say, I'm off work.
Yeah.
Her father didn't believe that. He's like, what do you mean you're off work? God is everywhere all day, and we're here to share the good news. So it was just her story and Tony Evans' father's story were very just beautiful examples of how men walk that walk, even know how hard it was, they still kept the faith and kept to it.
Yeah.
So just very, very beautiful stories. And yours as well is how men can show up and they can really change the trajectory of, the people around them,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's beautiful. When you were talking about that, I was thinking back, like all the things you previously said about Poppy, like being present and all of those things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's him. That's him. That's him. I could envision, see that for sure. Him living out all of that as an amazing man in your life, amazing father figure. When you were talking about that, I was kind of thinking too of my grandparents, which one grandfather I didn't even know. I think he passed away, died when I was like 2 or 3, so don't really remember him at all. And the other one, just the entrepreneurial, same as my father, had businesses and worked a lot and was strong and all of those. But I love that that whole resource that you just gave, and we'll make sure that we have that for everyone in the show notes. That would be amazing for people to have that, things to live by for men and women.
Definitely. And those are the things about good, strong, healthy people. Women and men can benefit from, just how they live their life and how they interact with others. It can be such a blessing, and I don't know that we think about that enough, just being intentional at the grocery store,
Yeah, we don't. And so this is a really good reminder to be intentional all times and not ever be off. Like you said, you're not ever off. You may be relaxing or whatever, but not off.
Good human. We need more of that. I love love. Love loves everything.
Yeah. So this has been great for us the two of us, to chat a little bit. We need to do it more probably, but Teresa, we did it today. I love it.
There was a shade thrown there. No one got it.
I love when we do this. I love when we get a chance to talk. I grow and I learn so much. I think because we're so different. It really opens. It helps me as a coach that I am, and probably you the same. Like, oh, I never thought about that, but LaWayna said that. I need to remember that. This will help me in all things, whether I'm coaching or I'm not coaching. It's like this is good stuff for me to absorb and learn. So I appreciate you. I always appreciate you.
I love it so much, and we all know I like to chat, but I only like to chat with people that are close to me, So, consider yourself, in very good company. Let's see. So until next time, friends, this is our lessons from a father or father figure, how men have shaped our life and how much better we are for it. We're doing all right here. I think so.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Female Voices Life and Loss. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, insight, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might need it. Stay connected, stay resilient, and until next time, keep growing and healing.